Excuse me. Perfect intro to a video about life's guilty pleasures. I just got done taking a toke, obviously. I was going to use that as an included in my video, but toking isn't really a guilty pleasure. Although I do go through times where I'm like, okay, if I smoke weed during this time, then I won't be as clear-headed and whatnot. And I don't deny that pot causes short-term memory loss, but as far as long-term damage, there's no real guilt there. But this was my inspiration for the video, this chocolate milk here. I love chocolate milk so much that I even drink it out of these old school milk bottles. I think this was my grandpa's. And when I do, it's just this nostalgia, and it's not even any nostalgia from when I was a kid, because we didn't have these milk bottles when I was a kid. I'm not even 40 yet, so. But I do remember there was a local dairy, and every year we would go down there to that place in Milwaukee and get these containers full of eggnog, the big ones. It's only once a year. It was the best damn homemade eggnog, which is another perfect example of guilty pleasures. I guess my point here for this video is to say that when we consume things that we know I know that I shouldn't be drinking milk on a regular basis, but I do, and I know that drinking too much sugar and chocolate is not good for me, but I still enjoy it, and I'm not going to beat myself up over the little pleasures, because I see that as being part of life, and I think that those who deprive themselves of the basic things that they enjoy are, I feel sorry for them. I mean, they may be happy, but I don't. I think that there's a fine line, though, and at a point, people kind of take it too far and they start abusing, overeating, over smoking, over toking, over everything. But it's not, the product placement is very right on these days. I mean, they know how to sell their products, and so people get upset by saying, look, they're trying to sell us this garbage. But what it really comes down to is that the people want it, and it's not that people aren't aware that they're consuming bad things. It's just that they choose to be as aware as they want. Most people these days have heard about GMOs, and it took getting it on the mainstream news to get most people to hear about it. But it didn't stop people from going out to a restaurant and ordering a meal and, not questioning whether or not it was, it's GMO. Because to an extent, people are still have to consume their foods. But I think people are catching on and they're becoming more aware. So in that case, the companies are manufacturing products that are more, human-friendly, if you will. But anyway, the whole idea is for me to try to moderate everything in moderation. But my favorite quote is everything in moderation, including moderation. So sometimes I take a little too much of this, or eat too much of that, or drink too much chocolate milk. So it's not that we're not aware we're doing it, and people who are, I've heard people say things like tobacco users can't be spiritual people because, they haven't got past their addictions. I think that's utter bullshit. I find the same way about any drug, even, people who don't understand. I don't see drugs as separating people, or I'm not. When I talk about drugs, I mean, food releases, endorphins into the body, and makes us happy if we're addicted to food. So whatever our poison, if you will, we just have to moderate it and be careful so we don't find that being the only thing that makes us happy. But it does not mean you're any less of a capable person of finding a fulfilling life. I get funny. It's funny to me because when people point the finger, it's not funny. It's depressing when people point the finger at other people. By saying, "You do this," or "You're addicted to that," or "You." And I've tried really hard not to be that guy, even though I see people who are junked out, and I don't want to, I don't like pointing the finger saying, you're a pill popper, and they'd come back with, you're a stoner, and I'd be like, well, being a stoner is better than being a pill popper, and the argument would go back and forth. But ultimately it comes down to people have our weaknesses, so it's just part of what makes us human, and we work on them. But don't deny ourselves of anything 100%, because when we do, that's all we think about. So bottoms up, chocolate.